The new Apple HomePod has some flaws, and let me explain. Today I'm going to be talking about the new Apple HomePod 2nd generation. A couple of weeks ago I made a video outlining the top 5 reasons why I think this is a device that's worth buying, but having used the device daily for a couple of weeks now, there are some negative things that I think are worth highlighting to prospective buyers. So in this video I'm going to be discussing 4 things that I think you should know about the HomePod 2nd generation before you buy. My name is Stephen and welcome to HeyTechi. HeyTechi is a smart home YouTube channel dedicated with everything to do with building an Apple smart home, where we review various different HomeKit, Matter and Siri shortcut compatible devices, as well as produce tutorial videos to help you get the most out of your smart home devices. If this sounds like the kind of content that you're interested in, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Number 1. The design. Okay, so first let's talk about the design, because on reflection I now feel that this is a significant step back from Apple. The new HomePod and the 1st generation are actually remarkably similar. In fact, with the exception of the colours here, from this angle you can't really see any differences between the two. The only change visible by way of the design is the way in which the touchscreen sits on the top of the device, with the new design having this sunken screen as opposed to the more rounded dome of the original. Now, having used this for the last couple of weeks, there's a few things that stand out to me already about this. From a household cleanliness point of view, the design is much worse, because dust can now build up within the inner rim of the HomePod. Over time, this will become an increasingly problematic issue, especially for the white model of the HomePod that I've got here. Not only is the sunken touch display a dust pit, but I've also found it to be less responsive to the touch as compared to the original. All in all here, I think the design has taken a step backwards, and whilst it's not the end of the world, I do think that the HomePod is now worse off for it. Number 2. Limited compatibility. Another thing that makes this HomePod 2nd generation not so great is its limited compatibility. Now of course this is a problem that spans across the entire HomePod and HomePod Mini lineup, but I'm going to come back to this in point number 4, so make sure you stay until the end to find out why I'm including this. The HomePod works best with other Apple products, and that can be a problem for other people in your home who might choose to use other devices. If you're an iPhone user, but your partner or kids use Android phones, the HomePod won't be as useful, and you'll be missing out on a lot of accessible features, and you won't be able to use it to stream music from your Android phone either. And additionally, you still can't use your HomePod as a pure Bluetooth speaker in 2023, which is just absolute madness. Especially now that Matter is here to open up compatibility across all of our smart homes, there is no excuse for Apple to still maintain the HomePod within such a closed ecosystem. Just a very quick sidebar here to say thank you so much to all of our subscribers for all of your engagement recently, and another reminder that if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. It's free and it makes sure that you won't miss out on our future videos. Number 3. Limited integration with HomePod and HomePod Mini. Another big disappointment about the 2nd generation HomePod is how limited it is when it's used beside other Apple products, especially the 1st generation HomePod. Now, if Apple is going to continue limiting its compatibility to within its own ecosystem of devices, then at least they need to provide better value when using the 2nd generation HomePod with older HomePod devices. Stereo pairing is one of the main attractions for a lot of HomePod users, and there's no doubt about it that this is an excellent feature when it works, but you do need 2 HomePods of the same generation or 2 HomePod Mini in order to use this feature. Now sure, Apple are in the market to sell as many devices as possible, and so it makes sense from their perspective to limit this, but long-time users of these devices, it is a really disappointing approach for Apple to have adopted. The good news, however, is that the value and price of the original HomePod, which is still an outstanding speaker in its own right, is now far lower on the second-hand market, so it's easier for you to pick up a stereo pair if you want to buy second-hand. And another good thing to know is that you can actually AirPlay to 2 different HomePods at the same time, which creates a similar kind of stereo pairing effect, although it's not exactly the same. Make sure to check out our YouTube Shorts video for a tutorial about how to do this, after you finish this one of course. Number 4. Expensive price tag. The final thing about the HomePod that's a big issue is the price tag, and this has a bearing on all of the factors I've mentioned above too. At £299 and dollars, the HomePod is one of the more expensive smart speakers on the market. And whilst it does have a pretty good sound quality, in my opinion, it's still not as good as the original HomePod that came out in 2018, and the high price of the new model will mean that the second generation HomePod will probably not sell as well either, and that was a big problem for the first generation HomePod. In fact, when the first HomePod went off the market here in the UK, it was being sold in Apple stores for £279. And so the new HomePod, with objectively a worse quality speaker inside, is now more expensive than that original model. The HomePod's high price tag is also a barrier for entry for those who are just getting into the smart speaker game, and if you're on a budget, the HomePod might not be the best option, especially when there are other speakers on the market that offer similar features, especially the HomePod Mini. And that brings me to my bonus point, which is, who is this HomePod meant for? Having used the second generation HomePod for a little while now, I cannot think of why most consumers would actually buy one of these over a HomePod Mini. The big feature differences between the two ultimately come down to what's going on inside the devices, with the second generation HomePod bringing Apple's S7 chip for support of spatial audio as well as upgraded room sensors that are going to scan the environment and optimize your sound accordingly. You're also getting a Matter smart home hub with all of the great benefits that this brings, but smart homes are still an emerging market, and when it has emerged fully, the price of this device will probably have dropped. Outside of their capacity as speakers, Apple has made both of these devices very similar, and I can't help but feeling slightly underwhelmed with the new HomePod right now. So that's my current thoughts on this second generation HomePod. It's still a great device by itself, but it's not without its problems, and I think Apple still has an awful lot of work to do about where this device is going next. But I'm sure if you're watching this video, you're going to have your own opinion, so let me know in the comments down below what you think. As always, thank you so much for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, why not check out my other video explaining 5 functions of my HomePod Mini that I still use every single day 3 years later. Before you go, make sure to hit like on this video, make sure that you've left a comment letting me know what you make of the second generation HomePod, and hit that subscribe button too so you won't miss out on our next video. Until next time then, I've been Stephen for HeyTechi.